to create a floor plan for that level 0, go to Create, View, Plan Views, Floor Plan, select the level 0. Okay. So it creates the view and takes us to it. Right now, there's nothing in it, nothing to see. And we can create several of those at the same time with View, Plan Views, Floor Plan. That's selected already. I'll just use a Shift to come down to there and say OK. 3, 4, 5. In the basement view, we're going to bring in the basement floor plan, position that in the middle somewhere, and then start placing the horizontal grids, north, south, east, west. And then we can line the other drawings up from maps, so we can essentially trace off those fours when we get there. So again, we're going to go into the level 0 plan view. Level 0 plan view. Insert, import PDF. PDFs, very convenient. This is A100 floor plan. Level 0 basement plan. So it thinks a little bit, and it's not important where you put it. I just put it centered just to start with. We'll line all the other plans up with this one. And I'm going to pin this one in place right now. So as we start to lay things out, it won't move. And since it's pinned and I have unchecked select pinned elements, I won't even be in danger of selecting this and moving it accidentally. I don't know to what extent you've dealt with building grids before. They're usually tied to the structure of things, and it certainly is here. And usually it's to the center lines of all the columns, and then sometimes to the outside perimeter walls, sometimes to the center line of those walls. We'll just see how this is set up here. So I basically want to recreate grid line number 1, which comes all the way down through the building. Putting the grids together is under Architecture, Grid, over here under Datum, Grid. And I'm just going to come right in, come right down the middle of that line. And these want to snap vertically and horizontally. You sort of have to drag them on purpose out of the way. And I can drag its endpoint up. And I want to do the same thing of making sure this goes sort of right down the middle of the dots for that. Right down there, just to get it as close as we can to start with. And like the levels, we can choose to have the grid bubble at either end or both ends. So I'm going to pick here and just check it, and we get the number 1 grid bubble top and bottom. Studio A has been consistent in having the bubbles at the top and to the right, so that people using the drawings know where to look for them. And since we have these dimensions here, I think the easiest thing to do is just copy that given distance, select it, copy it, click, indicate the direction, 20 feet, 8.5. And you notice since the most recent bubble I'd done before that was number 1, it automatically increments up to number 2. And I can just keep on copying in this direction, 22 feet. You want to make sure you drag horizontally here to indicate the direction to go. We don't want it doing off at an angle. 22 feet. 22 feet. I'm starting to see a pattern here. And I think number 11, I'm going to create it from scratch on the angle, so I won't copy number 10 to do that. But you can see they line up really pretty closely with. By the time we've come 150 feet, we're only 1/4 of an inch off. And then for the angled one here along Broadway, it's still just a grid line, but I want to be careful to get the angle right. So I see that it looks like it's sitting right on this corner right here. I'm not sure what they're, and we'll just sort of follow that dashed line down, to here. And this will extend, it's too short right now, but it will extend following the same angle that it was set at. So you can see how that works. Pretty straightforward. I'll just go up this side. It's the same way, and we could go up either side. Might as well do it over here where it's easy to see the dimensions, easier to see the letters. And I'm not sure. Obviously, most of these interior column grids, lines B and C, are just centered on the columns. Well, that one's a little off. That's funny. Huh. But number A seems to have only a casual relationship with any of these walls. It's inside this one, barely inside this one, but we'll put it there. But that's what they're using. So we'll just use the grid again. I'm going to drag this outside and turn it on so we can see the bubble at both ends. Before we copy this one up the plan, Revit knew the last one it drew was number 11, so now it's drawing number 12. If we change this to A, it'll start on the B's. And I would say just keep copying it using these dimensions, 23, and then it's all 22s. CO for copy. CO, click, drag dimension 23 feet. Same command, just another instance coming 22 feet. 22 feet. 22 feet. And then this last one is 23 feet. And again, that's very, 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 very close. Oh, it's right on the button. Look at it. So here's our basement plan. A couple things I want to do first. Once I know these grid lines are correctly in place, I want to lock them in place, pin them in place. The easiest way to do that is just to window them all like that, and then hit pin. I find having the title block all around is a little bit distracting. So I'm going to crop this view so we don't have to see the title block. So we're going to make the crop region visible and just drag this into just inside the border. So keep the view cropped, but turn the edges off, and we can see this now. If these underlay drawings, if we had imported AutoCAD, for instance, instead of a PDF, we could be turning AutoCAD layers on and off. But since this is all just basically one big high-res JPEG image, we can't turn things on and off. So we just have to sort of live with what's here. While people are catching up, a couple of things about naming and numbering the grid lines. We usually never use O or 0 or I. So if it looks like an I, it's always a 1, because we're going to end up, the contractor might be talking to the structural engineer and say, we're having trouble placing the column at C9. So it's like playing Battleship. And it gives them an absolute reference of which one they're talking about. So it usually goes A, B, C, D, F, G, H, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, just leaving out those. So here's level 0 with the level 0 plan. Now let's look at our level 1 plan. We have the grid lines. They extend above the roof and below the basement. We can move these guys out, actually. Oh, I pinned them. We'll deal with it later. Now we need to bring the floor plan for level 1 in here. And fortunately, that has all the grid lines on it. So we just move the PDF around until it lines up and then pin that. So here we will import PDF, the level 1 plan. So now we have level 1 PDF coming into our level 1 floor plan. I'm going to keep the resolution here at 150. And this doesn't know where to come in. We're just going to select it and then move this so its grid lines line up with our Revit grid lines. So sometimes I just have to move it till okay, that's what I want to have happen there. There's one, and then A. That A needs to line up with that A. Okay. So we see as that looks correct. Okay. It might actually be easiest to tell here in the middle somewhere, to tell you the truth, rather than over on the edges where there's all the dimensions and other annotation. Okay, close enough. And having once gotten that in place, which really doesn't take very long, then you definitely want to pin this in place. And again, I'm gonna crop the view just to get rid of the clutter. I'll leave it to you guys to continue that up with the other levels. Okay, let's save this. I'm saving mine into my documents folder 1405. I'm calling it 1405 in class. You can call it 14.5 structural. We'll come back on Tuesday and start to put in exterior walls, floors, and columns, because they're different sizes. They start out like this thick at the bottom and then narrow as they go up. Maybe windows. We'll see where we get with that.